Joining us right now, it's Rafi Williams, spokesperson for the Republican National Committee. Good to have you, Rafi.
Always a pleasure to be on with you.
You know, Rafi, we just talked a little bit about how Michelle Obama says that she and Barack take great pleasure in embarrassing their children. Just get this out of the way here. How does Juan embarrass you, Rafi?
Oh, well, it's more of a mutual embarrassment. We have a family traveling tracksuits we wear, and it's kind of one of these things like, who's going to blink first on taking this off? We travel through the airports and stuff, so we all are matching bright red, like 1970s style.
Ooh, like a Run DMC look.
Oh, I love
exactly.
it.
That's
but
awesome.
It's like 10 of us, right? So we're all in the same.
Oh, it's great.
The stairs we get. Yeah.
I need to see a picture of that on Twitter. All right, let's get to business. Yesterday, the GOP field grew by 2 with Ben Carson and Carly Fiorina joining, and then later this morning we're looking at Mike Huckabee jumping in. I know you guys, you can't adjudicate these sort of things, but honestly, is it a concern that there's going to be so many voices on the stage there when the RNC starts doing these debates?
I think it's actually a positive for a lot of reasons. I think mainly because it's a great juxtaposition against the Democrats who are coordinating Clinton, whereas the Republican Party is a vibrant party full of ideas and people who are willing to fight for them and fight to explain why it's the best way forward for the country and the party, whereas you get a lot of griping and people who are upset with Hillary Clinton on the left because they don't actually agree with her policies or stand with her. They just think that she's the only option they have. So the vibrancy of our bench and the strength of our party is shown in how big our primary is going to be.
Well, I know back 4 years ago that was the same argument, that the bench was strong and vibrant. It would help the GOP versus the Obama administration and the dissatisfaction among voters with his administration. But it didn't work out. So, and part of the reason was the infighting, and it took a long time for Romney to get the nomination and get the money he needed to combat all the money that the president had using against him in these ads. How are you guys going to counter that same problem this time around?
Well, I think there's a difference between being an incumbent like Obama was and having an open seat like we have today with Hillary Clinton. But we've shrunk the primary so that it will now have the convention in early July, which will mean they'll have access to general election funds earlier than Romney did. And I also have to say, I think most people will agree that our field is stronger than it was in 12 in terms of just the broad base of strength here. And I think that's something that's really appealing, and different kinds of diverse candidacies here. And this is something, Democrats claim to be the party of diversity and women and inclusion, but you look at who we have running, it's young and old, it's white, black, female, Hispanic, you name it, whereas they have, as of now, 2 older white people running. So I think that it's a great juxtaposition of flipping common themes or common thoughts of misconceptions about the party, flipping those on their head.
That's true, but it also brings a lot of fighting amongst the GOP candidates,
Yeah.
which can expose vulnerabilities that the Democrats can then turn into campaign ads, right?
Well, you're going to have Hillary Clinton, though, going through untested, basically, and really being unprepared to get these tough questions that she's going to face in a general election. And I think that it's a blessing and a curse. I do think you're right. There's going to be a lot of infighting because that's how you determine who's the best standard bearer, especially when people, I think our candidates agree generally on 80% of the same issues that 20% will be arguing over. But I do think that highlighting, but having this discussion is an important way to move forward, and it's an important way to make sure that our party is moving in the best direction, whereas Democrats who aren't having this conversation aren't sure that their standard bearer is in line with most of their party.
Our guest is Rafi Williams. He's a spokesperson for the Republican National Committee. And let's talk about that standard bearer, Hillary Clinton, who's blowing away Bernie Sanders and possibly Martin O'Malley in the polls right now. This book by Peter Schweitzer, Clinton Cash, Peter Schweitzer will be our guest tomorrow. It's raised a lot of questions. It's gotten a lot of headlines, but nothing there is really a game changer that takes Hillary Clinton out of the running, is it, Rafi?
Well, I think that what you're having this book do is add a big stack towards this I don't trust Hillary Clinton narrative that we've seen affect her since the Clinton Foundation donations, the emails. It's this kind of common thread that comes through, especially as she begins campaigning more. People just don't trust Clinton, and this book makes it very clear and very well researched from what we can see in the Times and the Post and such, that it's going to have an effect. People are going to see it for what it is and see that she's untrustworthy. So it moves the ball in the direction that she's untrustworthy.
But do you run the risk? I mean, these are the Clintons, and for over 2 decades now, they have been able to jujitsu these political attacks and actually, in some weird way, turn them into a badge of honor. They run as the victims, these multi-gajillionaires who have had a certain level of significant political power for over 2 decades in our country. They still run as the victim. Do you run the risk of making Hillary seem like she's the put-upon grandma here?
No, I mean, I really don't think you do at this point, especially because a lot of these attacks and broadsides against her have not become from a political grandstanding, but have come from good research, have come from people trying to seek out the truth, and their failure to answer basic questions. You know, it's one of these things where Americans don't see this as Republicans politicizing something. They see it as the facts coming to light and not looking so great on Hillary Clinton, and it looking like she has something to hide.
Rafi, tell me, now that we're in a whole new campaign season here, what do you think the big lesson was learned for the RNC after the devastating 2012 loss? Did you guys walk away with a lesson that you can bring to 2016 to make things work out better for the party this time?
Well, I think that the RNC, I think we realized that we have to be an organization that focuses kind of on the boring parts of politics, the mechanics. We have to control what we can and make sure it runs as smooth as possible. Mm-hmm. So that means debates, only having 10 of them. That means making sure the convention's earlier so that our nominee will have access to the funds sooner. It means making sure that when the nominee is declared, there is a robust ground game in place with volunteers ready to go and offices open. They can just assume, so there's no gap between the nominee being named and then him getting a field operation up and running. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, these are kind of the minutia, the boringness of campaigns, but it's just stuff that we as a party, the RNC, have to take care of, and that's what we're focused on. And I think that's the biggest lesson learned from us. Now, there are other lessons I think candidates and campaigns will learn, but for a building and for a party, we realize we have to really control what we control.
Rafi, immigration. This argument about immigration is currently in the federal courts, specifically over the executive action by the president granting amnesty or granting legal status to over 5 million people in the country. While it sits in the courts, the issue does not go away, though, and the Republican Party doesn't seem to have one specific position on it. In fact, that may be one of the most contentious issues between Jeb Bush, Ted Cruz, Scott Walker, and many of the other, Rand Paul certainly. How is this going to be resolved, especially when the Republicans control both houses in Congress, both chambers in Congress, where they could actually enact legislation if they could get on the same page?
Well, I think part of it is you see President Obama has poisoned the well by these executive actions, especially the one that's in court right now. And so it makes it hard for Republicans to do anything because they can't trust that the man will, or the president will follow through with his law.
Well, but that has nothing to do with the conversation that will go on between the presidential candidates. Their idea is, let's get rid of Obama, put me in, and here's what I'll do. Well, what will they do?
Well, I think you're seeing a range from whether it's earned legal status or whether it's, let's focus on security first, and then as we build up, see where the needs are and address those. I think that there's a wide range of policy that all the candidates are looking at. And I think you're going to get a more robust discussion on that as the campaigns build up and as the policy teams get stronger and more robust to figure out what the best solution is for the country and for the party.
You agree, though, as a communications guy, that they need to communicate one clear message here.
Well, I think each candidate needs to communicate one clear message and have that debate with the other candidates, so that we as a party can figure out what we think is the best way forward.
And it'll be interesting to watch that.
Sure will.
Rafi Williams, always good to have you, and we need to see a picture of you in that tracksuit. Bring it on.
I'll make sure to send it around.